All right, I'm excited to talk to you about this guitar. This was a restoration that I had done on a 1927 Martin 217H, and the H stands for Hawaiian style. And so these guitars were made only for about 2 years, and so it's a real rare guitar. We'll get into a discussion about this restoration just a little bit, but I'd like for you to hear how really great it sounds. All right, so the history on this guitar is that my grandfather got it when he was about 10 or 11 years old. Now, when I took it to get restored, I want to go ahead and tell you that we thought it was a finger-style guitar and the neck had warped incredibly bad. You'll see some pictures here in just a moment, but it was warped real bad, and the frets were flat. They were filed down to be smooth with the fretboard. We later realized, after the restoration was complete, was that it was actually intended to be built that way. Now the body is the same. It's a 2-17 style guitar, which is a finger style guitar to begin with, and then, like I said, about 2 years production of the H style. All right, so let's talk about what was wrong with this guitar. If you look in the pictures as I show you, you'll see that there was a lot of damage to the side and the back of this guitar here. Well, not the back, but this part of the guitar. Particularly, there were cracks along the top part of the guitar and a big hole missing, as you can see, from the back. And this neck was warped, even though intentionally the strings were supposed to be a little high. It was warped severely, and the tailpiece was basically pulled up. And this is because this guitar spent about 20 years in a hot, humid attic. And so as a result of that, it got severely damaged. Now, one of the most difficult things that needed to be done to get this guitar restored was to get the neck removed. Now, when I made the decision to get this guitar restored, I knew where I was going to take it. There's only one place that I know of around anywhere near me, and that's Charley's Guitar Shop. Charley's Guitar Shop opened in around 1976, and unfortunately Charley died around 1986-87, and he was the guy that really kind of started this whole vintage guitar thing. And that's because if you think about when the mass production guitars started coming out, electric guitars started coming out, that would have been in the mid-50s, early 50s, mid-50s. And so about 25 years is generally what is considered an antique or a vintage guitar. And so around about 75, 76, most of those first production line guitars were starting to become what we would all agree as a vintage guitar. And so at that time, Charley was the guy. He just started doing that. But Bryant Russel is the person that does all the repairs at Charley's, and he's very knowledgeable. I wouldn't take my guitars anywhere else to get fixed other than with Bryant Russel. And I'll put some description in the description. I'll put the contact information for Bryant. You can ship your guitar to him, and he's great about getting back to you. We both made the decision to make it a finger picking, and I think most of that was because we both really didn't realize that this guitar was actually an H model. We didn't even know an H model existed. So I may take it back and see what it would cost to get it put back to its original. I just haven't decided yet. But let's talk about what he had to do. So he had to steam the neck off, heat it up, steam it off, and once he got the neck off, you can imagine as you look at these pictures, it shows that the fretboard is extremely flush. There's a tool that you use. It's like a pair of pliers, flat nose pliers, and they're called fret removers. And you get underneath the fret and you pull the fret up without damaging the fretboard. The wood doesn't get damaged. Unfortunately, there was no way for him to do that, so he had to use this screwdriver and kind of pull it out or pick it out just a little bit so he could grab underneath and start pulling them out. he sanded all the parts down and found a replacement piece of wood that would go into this part, this section that's square, and he made it perfectly square so he could fit it in there. Did some refinishing and touch-ups on it. Had to replace the key. Took it to a jewelry guy to have, I believe it was this one, redone. But everything is on this is original except for the tailpiece here, not the tailpiece, the bridge and the nut. And so the restoration went very well. Something else that you have to understand is that because this neck was warped, he had to heat it up and straighten it out and then reassemble it. So it took a while to get this back, but you could just tell by the craftsmanship that he did to get this thing restored. The pictures really don't do it justice of how bad it looked. I didn't even think it could be restored, to be honest with you. But you know, as soon as I walked in and started talking to Bryant, I was really impressed with him, and I am not disappointed. And you know, like I said, we didn't know it was an H. I don't know if I want to turn it back into an H, because if I turn it back to an H, then I won't be able to play it, and I kind of enjoy playing it. That's kind of the purpose of me doing it. I didn't have it done so I could sell it. That doesn't seem right. If I thought that the difference in the value of this guitar was going to be dramatic, that might be something that pushes me over the edge to have it done, and I'll just hang it on the wall and admire it. But I don't think that's the case. I've done a little bit of research on it, and it doesn't seem to impact it that much. Other than it is it's a rare guitar, being a 1927 2-17, but it's an even more rare guitar because it's the 2-17H. And this is a pre-World War II guitar, and so anything that's pre-World War II that's in a playable condition like this and not banged up or bad, it's going to sell. But that's not what I had it restored for, so I'm not really worried about it. But anyway, so it sounds really great. It's amazing how much sound comes out of this little guitar. Anyway, thanks for watching my video.